Rachel, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, let's just delve right into the study. According to your study, what were some of the challenges experienced by people when applying for social grants?
So thank you for having me. I think, a couple of things were highlighted, but some of the key things with regards to applying for the grant itself was the lack of information that existed, where we found that our case studies, our participants had to rely on each other in the community to get some information instead of the information coming rather from SASA or SAPO or the concerned parties. And also because a lot of people were not clear why some people got accepted and some people got rejected, and there wasn't communication around that. What we found is that they relied on each other to be able to do that. And also there wasn't clarity with regards to how someone could go ahead and essentially dispute what the system said. So whether it was UIF or previous tax records or whatever, what they said with regards to the money they supposedly had that was over 350 or whatever the threshold was at the time. So the biggest issue there was the issue of communication and it not being clear.
And now, Rachel, of course, we understand why Black Sash is doing this, giving the reasons why this is very necessary, particularly if you look at how the country is doing at the moment. And we just recently been talking about rising food and fuel prices. But some will argue that South Africa has enough grants as it is. Why are we pouring more money into social security?
So again, to say that is to come from a place of actually not understanding. The reason why South Africa has a few grants, I wouldn't say it's a lot of grants, is because there are different classes of vulnerable people that have to be taken care of. Children, for example, the child care grant, disability grant, the old age grant. Those are specific classes of vulnerable people that the state has an obligation to take care of. And so the fact that the state is doing that does not absolve them from the responsibility of taking care of the unemployed and people who have little or no income, who don't fall within those brackets. And that is specifically important for our context, because we know that jobs are not there the way government would like them to be. The plan to ensure that jobs are created, etc., is not happening. And so we have this huge classes of people that grants do not take into account for. And so what is the answer there? The answer is that then those people have to be taken care of.
Now, National Treasury, of course, saying that it is sympathetic, to the current pressures on grant beneficiaries, but has warned that, the current system could become unsustainable. Now, how are you going to get, past that issue with Treasury?
It's the current system. I think, the argument that people say, oh, we actually cannot afford grants. What we're actually saying is that we can't afford not to do this, right? Because it's one thing to think, oh, this is unsustainable. No, it's not unsustainable. What we've said to government over and over again is that allow us to put a task team together, whether you call it a presidential task team, an expert panel, with people from the economists, the social people, everyone, civil society, and have this task team assess whether this is affordable or not. And if the way public funds are being managed, if they were managed properly, I promise you, we would have funds for these things. So we are in a state where money is being funneled down channels where it shouldn't actually be. It's being wasted. And we're saying that when it comes to people's lives and their livelihoods, that no, we can't afford it. But we can afford it for all these other things.
How much would be a good amount for the basic income grant? Some civil society groups and unions have been calling for an amount no less than 1,500 rands a month. Just based on our conversation of affordability, how much are you looking at?
So the question should actually be, how much is it worth for someone to live a dignified life, right? 350 is not it. Even between you and I, we know that 350 is not the answer for someone to live month to month, let alone if there are kids involved or whatever it be. And so the issue here is that we need to look holistically at the picture. What is available for people to be able to get for free as in terms of basic services? If the answer is nothing, as it might be, then clearly the grant needs to take that into consideration. But a lot of research and a lot of work is that the minimum sense of dignity someone can be given is to increase this grant at least to the food poverty line. Because a lot of extras might miss, but at least the ability to just basically eat, not even well, just eat. On a consistent basis as what is important. So people can play around with numbers all they like, but the issue here is around human dignity, and the issue is around making sure that people live a life that they feel that there's a sense of dignity despite being on the grants.
Rachel Bukasa, Black Sash's Executive Director, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.